The morning light came through the lace curtains in soft golden streaks, settling on the worn edges of my kitchen table. The same one I've sat at for more than 40 years, watching the sun rise and fall on this little piece of land that once felt like the whole world to me. I can still remember when Harold and I first brought it home. Well, not the house exactly, but the dream of it. We were so young then, too poor for fancy things but rich in hope, two kids from Kansas who thought love was enough to build a life. And for a while it was. The laughter of our children used to fill these walls, the sound of tiny feet pattering across creaky floorboards, the smell of cinnamon rolls every Sunday morning. It all feels like another lifetime now, a story I once lived but can no longer touch. My hands tremble these days, but not because of age. No, it's the ache of remembering, of knowing I've outlived the moments that made me who I was. That's why I'm writing this letter, the last one I'll ever write, sitting here at this old table with a pen that still smells faintly of Harold's cologne, because he was the last one to use it before he passed. My eyes blur every few seconds, partly from tears, partly from the soft hum of sadness that's become my constant companion since that night they told me I had to leave. "It's for your own good, Grandma," they said, voices too polished, too patient, like they'd practiced those words in the mirror. "You'll be more comfortable at Willow Pines. They'll take great care of you." Willow Pines, such a pretty name for a place where old souls are tucked away to fade quietly. I nodded then, pretending to agree, because I've learned there's no use arguing with youth. They think kindness means taking control, that love is making decisions for someone instead of with them. But they don't see how it feels, the way it hollows you out from the inside to realize that the home you built, the one you poured your life into, no longer belongs to you. Not really, not in their eyes. My granddaughter Lily came by yesterday to help me pack. She's only 16, full of life and promise, her eyes still bright with the kind of innocence that hasn't yet learned how cruel time can be. She was gentle, careful not to say much, just folding my sweaters into neat little piles, humming to herself the way her mother once did when she was that age. Watching her made something inside me ache in a way I can't put into words, like seeing my daughter's ghost moving through the room. And maybe that's why I didn't tell her what I'm planning, why I let her go home thinking I'd be ready for the moving truck tomorrow morning. But I won't be here when it comes. I can't. Because tonight, after I finish this letter, I'll walk out that door for the last time. Not to Willow Pines, but somewhere far enough that they'll stop looking for me. I know it sounds foolish. A 78-year-old woman with bad knees and fading eyesight thinking she can just leave. But what they don't understand is that I'm not running away. I'm going home. Not to any place you can find on a map, but to the memories that still live inside me. The ones this house keeps whispering every time the wind moves through its cracks. I've packed only a few things. The photograph of Harold in his army uniform, the handkerchief he gave me on our wedding day, and the recipe book that's stained with time and gravy and laughter. Everything else will stay behind. These walls, this furniture, this shell of a life that doesn't feel like mine anymore. I wrote a note to Lily too, tucked under the cookie jar where she'll find it when they come tomorrow. It says, "Don't cry for me, sweetheart. I'm not leaving you. I'm just going where I can still be myself." I hope she understands someday. Maybe when she's older, when she knows what it's like to love something so much it hurts to let go. The night is quiet now, except for the ticking of the old clock on the wall. The one Harold fixed over and over because he said every heartbeat deserved another chance. That sound keeps me steady while I write, reminding me that every second I have left still belongs to me. I think about my son, Michael. How he used to run through these halls, pretending to be a superhero, cape made from my good dish towel. I think about the way his little hand used to reach for mine, sticky with jam, and how he'd say, "Don't ever leave me, Mama." I wonder when that promise broke, if it was when his wife convinced him I was too much trouble, or when he started seeing me as a burden instead of a blessing. The last time he visited, he stood by the door, never even sitting down, his words quick and polite but his eyes somewhere else, already gone. "Mom, you'll love it there," he said. "They've got activities and nurses and you won't be alone." But what he doesn't know is that loneliness isn't about being by yourself. It's about being surrounded by people who stopped seeing you a long time ago. I smiled that day and told him I was proud of him, because that's what mothers do. Even when their hearts are breaking, they pretend. And I've gotten very good at pretending. I remember the first time I ever pretended to be fine. It was the day Harold died. He was sitting in his chair by the window, the same chair I still can't bring myself to move, reading the newspaper like always, when he just stopped. No warning, no goodbye, just silence so heavy it swallowed the world whole. I sat there for hours after they took him away, staring at the dent his body left in the cushion. And I told myself to breathe, to keep going, because Michael still needed me, and Lily was only a baby then. But something in me broke that night, something that never quite healed. And now, as I sit here writing, I realize I've been living in the shadow of that silence ever since. People think old age makes you weak, but the truth is, it strips you down to what's real. The masks fall away, the excuses fade, and all that's left is you, the raw, trembling truth of who you've been and what you've lost. I think that's why I can't let them take me to Willow Pines. I've seen what happens there. I visited my friend Marjorie once after her kids moved her in. She used to be the sharpest woman I knew, always laughing, always baking, always talking about her garden. But when I saw her sitting by that window, staring at the same patch of grass every day, her spirit already gone though her body still sat there, I promised myself I'd never end that way. Not me. I want to leave while I still remember Harold's voice, while I can still smell the lilacs that used to grow by our porch, while I can still walk down the road and feel the wind on my face. I may be old, but I'm not done choosing my life, not yet. I folded my letter carefully, the ink smudged a little where my tears hit the paper, and I thought about how funny it is that we spend our whole lives trying to build something permanent, only to learn that nothing ever truly stays. Maybe that's what makes love so powerful. It exists in the moments, not the monuments. Harold used to say that to me whenever I worried about the future. Annie, he'd say, home isn't these walls. It's wherever you and I are breathing the same air. I think I finally understand what he meant. So tonight, I'll breathe the same air Harold once did, outside under the stars that have watched over us all these years. The moon is full, soft and silver, and it spills through the window like a memory I can touch. I can almost see him standing there by the garden gate, hands in his pockets, smiling that quiet smile of his that always made me feel safe. I whisper to him sometimes when no one's around. Silly things, like how the tomatoes finally came in this summer, or how Lily's laughter sounds just like her mother's did. Maybe he hears me, maybe not, but it helps. It makes me feel like I'm not talking to myself. I've packed a thermos of tea, my shawl, and the locket Harold gave me the day Lily was born. It has a tiny picture of all three of us inside, taken back when Michael still came home for Christmas, and we still believed the world was kind. I'll take that with me when I go. I can't take the house, the memories, or the years, but I can take that small piece of love. I left the front porch light on, not for me, but for them, to remember that even when they think I'm gone, some part of me will always be waiting here, glowing faintly in the dark. The neighbors will probably notice by morning, maybe call Michael, maybe not. People don't notice much anymore. Everyone's too busy looking down at their phones, scrolling past moments that could have been memories if they'd just looked up. That's another reason I'm leaving. I don't belong in this version of the world. I belong to the one where dinner meant conversation, where hugs were real, where people listened without a screen between them. I'm not bitter, just tired of pretending I'm okay with it all. My body aches in new places every morning, but it's the ache inside that's harder to bear. A missed call here, a short visit there, promises to come by next week, that never quite happen. Until one day, you realize that silence has moved in, unpacked its bags, and made itself at home. I pour myself one last cup of tea, the same brand Harold used to bring home from the little shop downtown. And I close my eyes for a moment, breathing in the faint scent of bergamot and memory. The world outside is still, and for the first time in years I feel peaceful. I think that's what scares people most about death. They imagine it as darkness, but sometimes it's just quiet. Just a soft letting go. I've always believed that love doesn't end, it just changes rooms, and maybe when my eyes close tonight, I'll walk through that door and find Harold waiting, leaning against the fence with that grin that says, "What took you so long, Annie?" I can almost hear his laugh, warm and familiar. The sound that used to fill this kitchen when life was simple, and we still believed in forever. I hope Lily will forgive me someday. I hope she'll know I didn't leave because I stopped loving them. I left because I couldn't bear to fade away in a place that wasn't mine, surrounded by strangers waiting for the end. I wanted to leave on my own terms, in the home I built, in the world that still remembers my laughter. The clock ticks slower now. Even time seems to be whispering goodbye. I wrap Harold's old blanket around my shoulders, walk out to the porch, and sit in my favorite chair. The air is cool, and the stars look close enough to touch. Somewhere in the distance, I hear the faint hum of a train, the same one Harold used to take to work, and I smile because it feels like he's calling me home. The letter lies open on the table inside, my handwriting trembling but still mine. If you find this, it says, please don't cry for me. I didn't leave because I was lost. I left because I finally remembered the way home. And with that, I close my eyes, the night wraps its arms around me, and the world goes still, holding its breath one last time for Annie Mae Holloway, who loved fiercely, gave endlessly, and left quietly, under a sky full of stars.